You know what all this stuff was? You would think this is like some kind of trash pile. I just got these papers all over the place. I've split this thing off. I've deciphered my notes. My notes, where I had a note somewhere. I was like, what does this mean? But I think it means 8-inch past. I don't know what that word is. And then it says wider, 2 stilts. I think it means wider. So I held it up, and it just seems a little short. I think 8-inch more would be good. These are the sleeves. I mean, these are some big old crazy sleeves. Working with cloth material, it is forgiving. If I screw it up, it's not bad to either rip the stitch, do it again, or as you're sewing it together, see like, oh, this is a little short, this is a little big, and adjust as needed. That's why you kind of hem. I'll give you a little bit of excess to fix it. So now I just need to mark up some material and put it together. I double thicknessed the hood just because I didn't. The red would sew through. With this, since I'm going to have this robe, and then I'm going to have a skirt on top of that, and a tabard on top of that, I'm not double thicknessing any of this stuff. It's all kinds of just creates a feel and effect. The sleeves, I am wondering about the red liner inside the sleeves. I think that'd look just cool if the sleeves are open. Well, I need to double thickness it then? Maybe, but I think I can always just work after the fact and figure it out. If I had to, rip the stitches on the sleeves, take them off, put the liner in there, then do them back. But I think I could probably do the liner with them in place if it doesn't work out. Now it doesn't matter if I got this smaller work area, this huge robe to lay out, but we will figure it out. But I would love to get the robe together tonight. That'd be, like, to me, that'd be a great benchmark and be good for this weekend, because I still, like, there's a lot of little things I'd like to get done. We'll see. Let's start laying out some material. This is red material I'd salvage specifically for my hood liner, for the sleeve liner. Didn't need to do that. Complete and utter waste. So I guess I'm going to transfer that pattern to this, because that's the whole reason I salvaged this, was to do a liner. I just completely forgot. I hate when that happens. So I'm going to create that, just trace that onto this red, sew this up, redo it, because, yeah, I don't even need to dye anything red. I completely forgot about that. So this is the back of the robe cut out, laying out the sleeves. That's just a huge sleeve, holy cow. But let's say, so I folded my material in half, so that way I have the front and back of the sleeve. I can just cut it out once, and I got both. I mean, I'm debating on whether I fold this in half and cut out all 4 sleeves in one go, make things a lot easier. But let's say I was laying this out, and this sleeve is like a little bit longer. It's like that much longer. I would just shorten the sleeve. There's no reason to waste so much material to get that couple inches when you can just shorten it up and make it work. This works. I think I will. I think I'm going to, instead of doubling up, quad it up. So I just do one cut, and both sleeves are cut out, front and back. Because you've got the front and back sleeves, so you got to cut out 2 sections. Let's do 4. I've got these handy little cutters. They cut their material great. Will they cut through 4? I don't know. We're about to find out. So this is the front, both sides, a double thickness. Cut it to make things a little easier. As soon as I got finished cutting it, I realized I did not add 8 inches to the bottom. Am I going to cut this whole thing out again? No, I'm not. I think worse comes worse. I've got a fair amount of scrap from cutting all this out. I might just add 8 inches, just sew it on. It is what it is. I'm just not going to, that is what, 2 or 3 yards of material. I'm not going to waste it again. It's unfortunate, very unfortunate. I forgot to add 8 inches before I started cutting. I told myself add 8 inches. I forgot. It's the way it is. But we're just gonna sew 8 inches to the bottom of this, and it'll be fine. It's unfortunate, but it's fine. So I'm doing this honestly quick and dirty. I've put these 2 seams together. I've got a mark here to roughly know where my seam is, but I would guess anyway. You could get some pins, pin this together so you make sure everything stays in place. You do it so it doesn't slip. I'm just going for it. We're going to be fine. I mean, with what this is, it gives me a lot of freedom. Some costumes I've done the pins. I've made sure everything's lined up perfectly. I've taken measurements. I've been very fastidious about it. This just doesn't matter. Like the Grim Reaper, what I'm going for, it doesn't matter. You got to know when to put in the time, when not to put in the time. That's not one of those times. I'm going to sew it at the top. This is kind of the neck. Then I'll sew at the top. Then I'll sew down the sides. And I did, I forgot my 8 inches at the bottom. I did remember my 2 inches because I want buttons to button it from side to side. So at least I remember that. So we've got something going on. But we are about to sew together. I'm hoping in a little bit we'll have a robe or something that looks kind of like a robe. Check it out. I'm a robe. I feel like I look like some kind of, like, I don't know, Value City Jedi. The robe is long. The front is a little short. I need to figure out, I need something, I think like a button where I'll just button up and like pull it up just enough. It really needs to come up just a few inches. I don't mind if it's right at my feet. And it doesn't go that much past my feet because I want to show off my goat feet. I mean, the sleeve lengths, I like the sleeve lengths. I mean, look at that. That is That is Grim Reaper right there. Those sleeves look perfect. And the Grim Reaper reaching out. I'm thinking I wanted to line with red. I don't know how far back to go. Like, I think that line with red, when you see that, oh, that looks good. But I feel like you gotta go kind of far with red. I'll have to think about that. Now, I made these a little wide just for buttons, but I mean, that's, I feel like I could go 6 inches. Oh, I forgot I have my shoulder pads. That's why some of this is so big. I have my shoulder pads. I need to remember that and figure out how to attach those. It's good. I need to figure out where to split it. I was thinking I need to split this just so when I walk with these stilts, I'm fine. Maybe I don't need to, or maybe I just split it right at the front. I mean, I have a fair amount of leg room, and since it splits down the middle anyway, maybe that's fine. I need to have to wear this on the stilts and see how it flows. But first, I need buttons down the front to figure out how all this attaches. The sleeves came out really nice. I didn't hit the armpits. I'm never good at armpits. So I just kind of hit it where I thought it was good. I'll go back and stitch it up. I like it. I like it a lot. Oh my gosh. I mean, I love it when a plan comes together. I need to hem everything. I like some of the sleeves, so I do the red liner. I can't really hem that until I do the red liner in there and figure out how far back that goes. But yeah, I have shoulder pads. Let me put those on. Let's see how that changes the calculus here. Wow, standing on the rope. So I'm gonna put those little kind of out. And you see that gives it a better visual. It just looks a little more imposing, which that's what the name of this costume is, imposing. Some 80s shoulder pads, I dig it. And it gives it just a little more of an imposing look. That's outside, because I want these pauldrons. I don't know how that works with the tabard and everything else. So the front is just about perfect, where it's 8 inches short. But when I have the stilts on, I'll need that 8 inches. So I need to have something where the robe, I think maybe just a button on each side, just pull it up 8 inches, just so when I'm off the stilts, because I can't wear the stilts all the time, they're gonna kill me. And just some buttons down the front. I like it. I mean, I wish it was black. I think that'd give a better visual. Let's put all the pieces together. We gotta throw this thing together. Choose the form of your destructor. Man, I'm forgetting to even record videos. I'm just so excited about getting this stuff done. I got my tabard done. It is right here if I can find it. It is out of a wool blanket. Got a little bit of smell to it, as wool usually does. You can see here's this thing. And so I'm going to put some buttons in the front. It is sleeveless, and then it just comes down. It is split on the side, and it's got split in the front and the back. And I don't know, it's just tabard. I don't know what it does. You see it back in the nights and stuff. One thing I did do, I'm not even going to hem the sleeves. I like, if that gets a little ratty looking, I like that. The nice thing is wool, like when you cut it, it has a pretty good edge, so I don't really need to hem it. The inside parts, like the front, that's just the edge of the blanket. I used a blanket and that worked. What I did do is, where it's split, I went through and I sewed a line. You can see it right there. And that's just so that it doesn't split. Like with that split coming up, if you just do like a normal stitch, I don't know what stitches are called, but you risk it wanting to rip open. With this very heavy stitch going across, you stop it from splitting. It's kind of like, I don't know, like with glass, if glass is cracked and you drill a hole in it to stop the split, it's kind of like that. So I need to put mumbers in this. Let me try. I don't even think I've tried this on yet. All this stuff is so huge because it's geared for me on stilts. So everything is about a foot long than it needs to be. And so with my robe, that'll have buttons, but placement doesn't really matter because this will be over it. With this, there's nothing going over this, so I need to have a little bit more intentionality with the buttons, how that works. I might just sew a flap on the inside and just have a button here so that you don't see the buttons. I think I kind of like that more. I like this though. It just felt like that's what the Grim Reaper needed. I like it a lot. I did run short on my material. This had this little cutout out of it. I'm like, that's fine. I can tear that up, make it just look like battle damage or some kind of damage. That's fine. Because I want to weather all these edges. I want it to look very worn, very used. Like, I mean, this is the Grim Reaper. He's been rolling for years. I like this. I need to try it on with everything But it came out, like, I really like how this looked. And there's, I didn't make this quite as long as the robe, because the robe needs to cover my feet. This, like, I want some layering, and so if everything's the same length, you don't really get that effect. This is a little bit shorter than the robe by about, I don't know, 6 inches or so. I like it though. I like the heaviness. I always like wool. Just wool's kind of heavy. It just feels right. I like seeing everything come together. I still need to, on my main robe, I did the front 8 inches short. I need to sew that excess back onto there just so that is good and right. I did sew, let's see, my robe. I sewed like the neck, the collar area. And that can be kind of tricky, and I kind of screwed it up because, of course, I did. But it's going to be covered by the, like the hood, it'll be covered by the tabard. So you can see I just got into where I got a little wrinkled in here. So in the neck, basically the best way to do it is to sew a second piece in there so you keep that curve. You try to do a hem, it won't work. It's kind of pulling different ways. And I mean, if you pull it tight, it's right, or closer. I don't know, I don't think I know what I did. I think I just got off, and then once you're off, you kind of stay off. Is it the best? No. Is it the worst? No. Nobody's really gonna know. Once it's all dyed black, it'll be okay. I did sew the kind of this piece of the hood together, just so everything's kind of together. I'm concerned about, am I gonna flip things backwards or put the wrong thing somewhere else? I don't want to do that. So everything is sewn. The only left is the skirt. I want like this, like a skirt that has like all these strips all over it, just to look very ratty and torn. Like you always see these images of the Grim Reaper where there's always like tatters hanging behind him, flowing in the wind. I want that kind of look. So I need to do that, but also I'm trying to gear up to where I have something to show for this weekend. And it's early. That's okay. And so I need to finish the Scythe because that is crucial. The robe's looking good. My thought is, if my robe is still white this weekend, like, hey, you did it a week early, that's on you. You can't expect me to be ready a week in advance. I'm gonna try, I think, to dye this thing. Think about the days. No, that won't work out. There's no way, because that's gonna take me an evening. I don't have time for it. Now I'm thinking, holy cow, I really need to get on the Scythe, because I was thinking, could I paint it tonight to maybe have that done in time for the event, the small event I'm going to? I still need to do all the battle damage. There's no it needs to be battle damage, and then I need to heat treat it. And I was thinking about doing the foam, you know, all the way down the handle. I'm not. In the lower half, I'm not sure I'm going to do any foam. I just don't want to erase all my craft foam on that because it doesn't really matter. I like it up high just because I need that grip. Ooh, I do need it on the short handle. Wherever I grip, I need the foam just because it gives you a little more gripping power. Gotta do battle damage, gotta like scar it all up. None of that's done. I wonder if I should do that now. You know what? Why do today what you can do tomorrow? Well, this is the most complete we've had the costume. The fact that I can't see much with this mask on these stilts is slightly concerning. I will have a Scythe, but still, I cannot see much. I gotta fix this hood. I don't know how well the cloak covers my feet. Bit of an issue, I think. I don't know, man. Oh. You almost saw me buy the farm. I'm liking it though. It's looking good. Alright, so what did I learn by walking around this thing? For one, going up steps, not that bad. Going down steps, the problem with that is the stilt curves back so much is that when you try to go down the steps, the back of the stilt hits the tread and you can't even get your pad on it. Like, it just doesn't fit at all. So going down steps is a complete no-go. The step would have to be at least 4 inches deeper than a standard step for your foot to even fit. My foot just won't fit. The back of that stilt hits the tread and there's no place for the pad to go. The length of this skirt, length of this whole getup worked really well. Like, it covered my feet well. I think if I had some buttons on the front and just keep the robe together, I don't think you're gonna see my feet at all. I'm gonna be wearing black pants, black shoes, but still, like, I want to keep that illusion up. I don't think it's gonna be a problem. My shredded skirt that I want to put under the tabard above the robe, I'm walking around like, is I even gonna show with this tabard? But there are, you know, the tabard splits in multitude of different places, and so I think I do like that. I want to make that a little stringy, maybe have it hang below the robe. My shoulder pads are not staying in place at all, but I just need to attach those to the robe. Not sure how I'm gonna do that yet. For my event this weekend, I think the focus is the Scythe, because right now the handle is pink, brown, orange, and green. I need to focus on it. Even though I just get it black with the rubber plastic dip, at least all black would look better than what it is now. Lantern I'd love to have because that's so cool looking, but I'm going to take it as it is. Don't have enough time to dye this robe. Usually it'll take a couple days once you dye it for it to dry. Don't think I can do that. This definitely loses quite a bit of an effect with it being all white. It is what it is. I mean, I hate there's no red liner in here. I think that's going to look good. The pauldrons, not even a thought right now. But I like how all the tabard, the robe, how all that works together. I mean, the sleeves work together really well. Everything, like the lengths hit well. It's very long. You put some buttons in so I can tie it up when not in use. Because the tabard, I made that a little shorter, which is good. Like that is a perfect length right now. Doesn't really drag. And with my shoulder pads, if they were in place a little bit better, I think it'd be a little bit taller. My robe does drag because I made that a few inches longer as I intended. And I just need to put some buttons so I can button that up. And I'd really need to button the robe all the way down at least to my knee, because otherwise it starts to splay open and you see my feet. Don't want that. So I've got a plan of what to do for this weekend, and then that in the week after, work my pauldrons, because I think that just adds a nice kind of aggressive look to it. Need my lantern. Everything has come together. Like it's starting to feel a bit like a costume. On stilts with the mask on, you have so little vision. That is a little scary because it makes it a lot more difficult to see grade changes, to see anything that's in front of you. You know, still, I think my scythe will help. That might be not only a way to balance me, but maybe like a object detection, like kind of a cane, so I can see what's in front of me. It might serve to do that because with the mask on, I can't see much. And maybe this is a costume where either I have a spotter or I'm just sedentary. Might be, but good kind of first test. Been working fast. We've been working furious. You saw my tabard I made. Well, guess what? I dyed my hood. This is the hood. Came out really nice black shade. Did not have a lot of black dye. I had to kind of get creative on it. This is the robe. You can see a couple spots in the back. Didn't quite get dyed. I don't mind that. Thing is, this robe's just so huge, it's hard to find a pot big enough to fit it in. Overall, it's a little lighter than the hood. That's okay. I like it. I like that it's kind of faded and it's got some weird spots to it. I think it came out really well. Like it's way better than the white it was. So this is my hood right here. Got it dyed. And the way to do that, I've done it in the utility sink with just hot water. Last year, I did not have any luck doing that. So what I did last year and what I did this year is a pot on the stove. Be very careful. Use, you know, stainless steel pots. And I didn't have much black. They say a half a bottle of black dye. That's what I use. Use a half bottle for every pound of fabric. Well, the robe is a lot of fabric. The hood, not as much. But I only had a half a bottle. I wasn't going to buy any. Just wasn't. I had a full brown tube. So I did about, I mean, for the robe, it might be close to like half brown, half black. And the hood, I did a little more black. Because I wanted the hood to be really black. Because it's going to be the red line. I really wanted that to contrast. I like how it came out. My skirt, so I wanted a skirt just that's like narrow strips, about 3-inch strips, just so it's that tattered look. And I was going to use some material, but then I realized I had these black t-shirts, and I split them, and I sewed them together. And this is 2 t-shirts. I split them like down the side, along the sleeve. And this will be a skirt that, yeah, wraps around me. And don't even have to dye it. I love that, you know, it's a different texture. It's different shades of black. And I'll do 3-inch strips all the way around and have it hang lower than the tabard, maybe a little bit lower than the main robe, just so, you always see the Grim Reaper, he's tattered. There's always like, just, it's really tattered. So I wanted that look. I've got that look. That's where we are. Things are coming together. Now the main thing I've got to work on next is the scythe, because for this event this weekend, got to have the scythe. At least I need it where the handle is not multicolor. Like this, I can get it out. This just does not speak to Grim Reaper. So if I can at least get this painted, but first I need to battle damage this. You know, I want to do like almost like bark wood on the handle, like just really scarred, really aged. The blade, I want that to have some battle damage, especially like with these seams. I got to figure out something to do there. And I want the blade, you know, to look like it's hit some things. Well, it's been through some stuff. I want it a little rusty, a little crusty. So that is the goal for tomorrow, because it's late tonight. That's just, you know, life keeps going. It does not slow down, even if you're building a Grim Reaper costume. That's where we are. That's where we're going. It's really good. Like, the robes look so much better black. Like, the white just didn't work. Now, looks good. You can see the differences in the hood, how it's a little darker than the robe. Again, I was trying to stretch my dye. I don't mind that. You know, I wanted this thing looking a little rough. I mean, I love the weave of the robe. That's exactly what I wanted. So I need to clean up the ends of the sleeves. That was to be expected. I can't hem the sleeves until I get the red inserts, which it's going to be like that. I've got some scrap. And I can't go all the way up the sleeve. I'll just go as far as I can and use what we got. That's the red scrap I have. I need to affix some buttons to the front. You can see I need to hem the edges here. I'll do some buttons. I need to figure out exactly how far down they need to go. This is my skirt that I salvaged out of t-shirts. that's in pretty good shape. Need a few buttons on that to figure out, or it might just button directly to the robe, just around the waist area. I also need some buttons on the robe because this robe is about 12 inches too long, 8 inches too long, so I need some buttons that'll just kind of pull this up a little bit and very exactly, I think I'm buttoning it more low than high. See a little bit of fadedness to it. Again, I like that. Like, I like this thing looks a little rough. Also needs buttons on the tabard, and so the buttons with the robe, the buttons don't matter as much. The tabard will cover it. On the tabard, I need to kind of have like a flap inside so the buttons don't show from the outside. I could do Velcro. I don't love Velcro. It just always seems to come apart. May do it for the tabard because the Velcro, I've had problems with it becoming unstuck. Well, with this, I would just sew it, create a flap, either create a flap or sew on another strip. Could create a flap on the inside for the Velcro. And maybe that is the way to go, and just do buttons for the robe to make things easier. I'm still debating on that. For my Scythe, got to get that done today. And so originally I was thinking, oh, I'll just carve with the Dremel, like carve out some patterns. But, and I may be too far down the path with this, but usually like with the floor mat foam like that, if you slice it with a razor blade and then you heat it, it kind of opens up and creates a crazy, opens up and, you get a little bit of texture. So I don't know how well that'll work on these craft foam things. I'm thinking just razor blade it, all kinds of crazy designs all the way down, just a random pattern, and then heat it up, and those slices will expand and create the texture on it. Instead of having to carve out the whole thing with a Dremel, which will take forever, slice a few slices with a razor blade and a heat gun will make things a lot quicker. I like that. I think that's the way we go. Still have the fur for the hooves. I mean, the hooves, they are pretty much ready to go. Just need to glue those onto the stilts and glue the fur to the hooves. I think that should be fine. Might should be my first priority. But that and the Scythe are kind of right up there. As far as, and then robes too, the buttons and the Velcro and all that stuff, and hem and everything. Because when you don't hem it, you get these strings everywhere. So I need to clean that up. A lot to clean up, but today, I have today and I have most of tomorrow until I have an event tomorrow, so I've got time for it. So I sewed this. I sewed the red and the black hood together with the intention of folding it over and then doing another stitch, kind of 3/4 inch inside, just have a nice edge. Well, I realized if I did that, when I fold it in and I sew it, I sewed my edges backwards. Should have folded them in, did not. But, not that I'm against redoing all this, but I kind of like the ragged edge. Like, this whole thing I'm talking about being ragged, being worn. So I kind of like this ragged edge. I like the red liner, so I think I'm going to leave it as is. Luckily, I did a pretty decent stitch on it. Not the greatest, because I thought I'd hide it. But I like it as is. I'm going to leave it. My peak, I did a little bit of sewing on that just to kind of close that together. That looks good. So I just need to put some plastic in here that'll, so basically kind of right there, so this doesn't flop over. Because it wants to flop over. I think it still wants to flop over. Oh, yeah. Completely floppy. So I'm going to work on that. But I like the raggedness. This whole thing, I'm going for a ragged look. Let's do it. Forgot to get any video of it, but I basically cut 0.2 plastic this size and put it in the hood. Now what you have to do so it doesn't slip out of place is I put a soda line here so it can't drop too low, and then I put a vertical line here so it can't go back, and that will hold it in place because the peak holds the front in place. Also, I want to say tack, but I didn't really tack because it's not welding. I sewed just the base of the hood right here just so it kind of stay in place. You can see those lines inside. I did sew it at the top just so it doesn't droop. And that is the hood. The peak now stays completely peaked, which is awesome. And of course, I got to try it on. Here it is. You see it's peaked out. It wants to droop. It's a little lower than I'd like for it to be just because I can't see well. If I can start to pull this down, pulls that up a little bit. So I may figure out a way to pin or button that. I like it. I like it a lot. Part of me wishes there was maybe a little stiffer. I don't know. That's not bad. Once you pin it, then my vision is cut out a lot. I mean, you lose all periphery when the hood is so far, but I love how deep my head is in this mask. I wouldn't mind it a little higher. I don't know if I can put something in there to a little bit more space. I may see if I can maybe curve the plastic. The plastic is kind of flat. If it curved out a little bit, that might help. Give me some vision. Because it is, I can't see much at all in the periphery. That would make things a little easier. Let me see if I can just heat that plastic and curve it, because it is just flat. I'm painting things, I'm doing things. My hood is looking good. You saw the peak, it no longer droops, which is beautiful. So my sewing machine, it has a button maker, but you need a special head for it I don't have. So I just kind of took some stitching patterns and made a buttonhole. It actually looks decent. The sewing's not great. I sewed a button on here, and so let's see how this will work. And so I didn't want the button to show from the outside. I wanted it to be kind of streamlined. So the button is on the back. It'll just button in there. It works well. The stitching is not beautiful there, but the stitching is small. You can't really notice. So that way the hood, it'll button together. That way everything looks good. I think the hood is done. I got little strings everywhere, so I got strings everywhere. But I like it. You know, I went for the little rough edge look. I just think that looks kind of, just works better for what this is. Yes, you can see some stitching here and here where I hold the plastic in, but I'm okay with that. If I'm okay with that, you should be okay with that. Overall, the hood, I really like. I like how it comes out. Looks really good. I mean, if anything, maybe it should have come down further, but I like it. And I curved the other side too, so it curves really nice. Let's see. Let's try it on. So yeah, it droops, but then once you start buttoning, you bring it in, it picks up a little bit. I think it's just one of those things where you kind of, I like this, like putting the curve in there, it is off my face a little bit where I have decent peripheral vision. Now I'll put the mask on, all butts are off. I like that. I like the red liner. It just adds a nice effect. Looks a little classy. I mean, a little classy for what I'm doing, but I just love the red liner. With the skull mask, you can't beat it. What else do I have? Everything. I need to do the goat hooves. I mean, the goat hooves are kind of this awesome thing that I've not done. I've glued the hoof together around the stilt. So now I need to glue the goat fur to the hoof and then somehow tie it back to the stilt. Don't want to glue it to the stilt because the stilts, they're not going to be permanent goat hooves. My scythe has been painted. My wool tabard, I just like a tabard. I don't know, I've done a few costumes with a tabard like that. Love it. It's a cool looking thing. This is like a very, I feel like there's a movie where I've seen a robe like this. I don't know, but it is very gray wool and I wanted it black. So I just spray painted it. I did a test on some wool and it seemed to work okay. I'm going to hope it works okay. Because it just it's too gray. It needs to be black. And now it's black. Now it's a lot of different shades of black, which I like that. And I did, as I painted the tabard black, I painted kind of black down to the waist, and I started like fading it out where at the very bottom it's gray, so it looks a little like old and worn and faded right where it hit the floor. And then I did some white, or not white, but some tan and brown right at the base of it. Because I'm going to tear up the bottom anyway, but you know, that'll just like make it look like you've been walking through some stuff. And it's a story. I like a story. Let's get some hooves going. They shouldn't be bad, I hope. So I was getting my first mock up, and I was just trying to duct tape the fur to different places, trying to get an idea of how does this thing fit. Wasn't really working because the fur, it pulls, it moves. So I was like, all right, instead of doing a mock up, let's just go all in. So what I'm doing, I'm just sewing. I have some high strength thread. I'm sewing it to different spots just so I can get an idea of how it works. So around here, it's pretty taut, which is what I want. You know, the thing is, it curves out this way, so the fabric doesn't really want to bend that way and wrap it all around. So I might just put some thread in there and like tie some of this stuff back. And so I don't quite meet all the way around. That's okay. I think my robe comes pretty far below. That is what it is. Like, this is all the fur I got. I mean, I was cutting off the other one. I probably shouldn't have started cutting off the other one. I got some scrub there. I might could fill in there. For glue, I was trying to debate, what am I going to do here? Because, like, this does not work great for contact cement. I've done it where I do spray glue on an edge and then contact cement over top. I'm thinking maybe just hot glue. I think hot glue might be good enough. I mean, it's not going to be a lot of force on this. Because at the bottom it wraps really well. You know, you'll glue it down. You can pull this tight. Then I need to cut some of this because I have some extra cloth. Like, this is a little baggy in there. I'll have to maybe just sew it up. Overall, like, it looks good. Like, you can see from right here, the concept. That looks pretty good. You know, get a little bit tighter. I think it'll be pretty good. It's not quite as trim as I'd like it. I like a little skinnier to really accentuate the goat feet, but I think it's going to be pretty good. I mean, if you can, once you start to trim this one up a little bit, and it's a nice, tighter fit, like, look at that. That's goat feet. That looks good. I dig it.